Hello, everybody. Welcome to Browns and Beyond, your home for Cleveland Browns content, NFL content, and other sports content. If you're enjoying the show, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you stay locked in with all the latest sports content. All right, boys, the day has arrived. Game 3, the Browns and the Packers were home for the Cleveland Browns today. And let's hope for a different outcome. Wouldn't you say, Steve?
Absolutely, Brent. We're at home, so we got to be ready to win, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. I know we're going to get into it, but they're at home. Hopefully, the crowd's into it. Hopefully, the Browns are into it, and let's hope for a better effort than we got last week because they're going to need it.
Yeah. I kind of think the Browns are going to keep this one close today. We'll get into some of our predictions and preview here today. We will start with Mr. Steve Retzer. And Steve, give us your take here on the Browns and Packers. Kind of what are your expectations today? Go us and give us a preview of this matchup.
All right, boys. Well, the Browns are at home, and we are 0-2. Well, the Packers are 2-0, and they're playing lights-out football.
Yeah.
And they're the hottest team in football so far this season.
They look good.
The Packers are a heavy favorite, so the Browns must be ready to show up.
Would you catch line at, Steve? Was it 8.5?
I seen 8.5 was the last I seen.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Especially for a team on the road, that's a lot.
It is. That's a lot. That's heavy. The Browns need to control the clock offensively and get turnovers to have a chance to win this game.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco is your starter. I'm expecting to see better play calling from Kevin Stefanski. The Browns need to take advantage of using running back Quinshon Judkins as much as they can to help the Browns run the clock. I'd like to see it be low scoring. I want Judkins carrying 15 to 20 times, and then use Dylan Sampson as your third down back and maybe get some catches in the backfield.
You think that's his permanent role, Steve? I do.
I think so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rely on him in first and second down. You know?
I think his role really is going to be complimentary back.
Yes.
He takes some of the pressure off of Judkins with some carries here and there. And then, he's a receiver out of the backfield.
I like his play-catching abilities, Dave.
The crazy thing is when I watched him play at Tennessee, I never knew he was this good of a pass catcher because they never really utilize him like that. But maybe he has a role there.
Yep. I think Stefanski will be conservative and try to reduce turnovers, especially from Flacco passes. Mm-hmm. But they can't be too predictable, okay? They can't be.
They're going to have to push,
challenge this tough Green Bay defense. They're going to have to challenge them at some point. This is going to be tough, boys. Offensive linemen Joel Bitonio and Jack Conklin are questionable and considered game-time decisions. That scares the hell out of me.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
DeJuan Jones hasn't played up to par so far this season.
That's putting it mildly, Steve.
I know I'm being a little kind there.
You're putting it mildly. I was optimistic about this meal plan that he was going to be on, and he was going to come back, and he was become light, and he was going to be this great offensive tackle.
I guess some rigatoni got put in that salad. He got little some pasta.
I know.
It was an accident.
Some rigatoni trays.
Well, Steve, do you think that maybe your restaurant maybe kind of did that? They put some pasta.
Fill them up pretty good.
Okay. All right. Good.
Anyhow, I believe that Cornelius Lucas and Tevin Jenkins would go in if those guys go down.
Yeah.
So if they're out, this game will be a blowout really fast.
Yeah,
fingers crossed. Let's hope they're ready to play for the Browns to have a chance to win. Flacco seems to have a nice connection with tight end Harold Fanta Jr. The Packers seem to give up more yards against tight ends, so I think he'll be a major target. He should probably have another great game. Jerry Jeudy needs to step it up if he wants to be a number one receiver, guys. He's not looking like it so far.
That's a question that, what's crazy? This guy was a top 10 pick to Denver. I legitimately came out of that run of Alabama receivers.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be big time. I think he was a little bit stuck in a bad situation with Russ Wilson. And I think quarterback play was somewhat blamed for his lack of production. And then he had that run last year. He had a good chemistry with
him and Winston.
Yeah, him and Winston had good chemistry.
They had good chemistry. But
they had a great chemistry.
This year, Steve, I'm just not seeing it.
The other thing to talk about, this has been mentioned the last few days on some of these other shows, and just Browns, talking to Browns fans, they really didn't do us any good by not playing Flacco in the preseason and getting the chemistry. I want you guys to kind of talk about that a little bit, because to me, you guys, Joe Burrow and the Bengals, they finally got it right this year before the
Flacco
injury.
did play well in the one preseason game.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
no incompletion.
But it was just a couple
touchdowns.
seasons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you remember, there was a time, Stephen, we've watched football for a fairly long period of time.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to date us, but
Yeah.
there was a time by like that last preseason game where the starters would play nearly a half of football.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, back in the day, they did.
would play nearly
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
half of football to get continuity. Because there's the other thing, too, about not playing and then all of a sudden playing, that also can risk injury.
Yeah.
So,
Here's the thing, too, is Stefanski's running the offense he wants to run this year. Last season, they still mixed it up a little bit. He let Jameis Winston throw it downfield. He needs to get more into a little bit of throwing downfield, not just
well,
only his.
I still think that they need the run game, though, Steve. They still
Absolutely.
Need
no, they do.
Yeah.
My boy Cedric Tillman, he's
please.
got a touchdown catch in both games. Let's see if he can get one today and make it 3 in a row.
You are dying on the Tillman Hill, Steve, and I don't understand why, but okay.
All right, well, let's get to Green Bay.
Yes.
Jordan Love is having an MVP caliber season so
Looks
far,
good.
and he seems to connect well with Romeo Dobbs and rookie Matthew Golden.
Yep.
Tucker Kraft is a nice tight end for Love to get the ball to. Love likes handing the ball off to Pro Bowler Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
He's a huge part of their offense and running game. Let's get to the Browns defense. The run defense has been elite.
It has been great.
I haven't seen a better run defense out there so far this season. I believe they're number one.
Well, you know, what they've done is it starts up the middle. When you have the defensive tackles, Graham, and then the linebacker play is really leveling up too, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Rookie Mason Graham is quietly having a good season.
Yep.
He may not be sack king, but he stops the run and does the dirty work that goes unnoticed, guys.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett is the man to watch out for once again. He's leading the NFL in sacks, guys. If anyone didn't know that.
He's still I think the best defensive player in the game.
He
I
is
think so,
right
too.
now. He is.
I would say that once Donald retired,
Yes.
don't you think that he's kind of been number one?
And
Well-
did you guys know T.J. Watt statistically had Garrett beat in a couple years?
Yeah, and
Right now it seems
Watt was there
Garrett's
too, yeah.
taking more control
But doesn't that make
in
this
more recent years.
Doesn't that make this football team that much more painful?
It
you know?
does.
Yeah, when you lose.
Yeah,
And-
when
and-
you lose and you know you have
And-
a lottery ticket, you have one of the best. I'm telling you, he's going to be up there with a Bruce Smith or a Reggie White.
Yeah, he's
when his
first ballot
career-
Hall of Fame.
When his career was
If you had good offensive production and a decent quarterback play, they're right there for the playoffs and Super Bowl contention.
Yes.
I feel that way. But you know what? There's so many holes on this team that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
but anyways, continue, Steve.
you
Sorry.
You can't feel bad for Garrett for signing and staying with
He
us.
did.
I think the Browns made him a promise secretly. Like, hey, we're going to take someone defensively in the draft to help you. And I think he liked that.
right.
On the other side, guys, my boy Isaiah McGuire needs to play good.
Yeah, they may have found something
And Alex
there.
Wright, yeah. But I think McGuire, he's going to have to look good today. Like you said, Carson Schwarzenegger needs to have a big game.
Yep.
Veteran linebacker Devin Bush has been looking good as of
Played
recent.
really good football.
I liked him when he was a Pittsburgh Steeler. He was pretty solid.
Well,
I thought he was.
I thought coming up north, he was a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
And you know how the Steelers usually pick linebackers better than anybody, by the way.
They do.
That goes
so
on.
he was one of the worst out of those best.
Yeah, his rookie year was actually pretty good in 2019. You go back and look at his stats.
Yeah.
But then there was like a decline after that.
He dropped off.
There's some injuries that probably came into play there. And
Yeah.
he just never got back to that rookie form, but he looks good right now.
Yeah, I like him. I'd like to see Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome stop the Packers' deep receiving cores. Green Bay is loaded with receivers. Guys, they have like 5 receivers.
See, I think they're solid. I don't know
Pretty
if there's a
unbelievable.
real alpha there, though. That's the
Yeah.
one thing I would say.
Yeah, they're all pretty even Steven.
Yeah.
We need turnovers. It's a must. I say it every week. But you really do. We're at home. Something has to give. An interception, a fumble recovery.
Yeah.
For as good as this defense is, it seems like we never see interceptions. Would you agree, Dave?
Well, yeah.
I'd like to see them sometimes. They are part of the game.
Well, what you're hoping is that Miles beats the tackle, gets in there, strips a love, gets a fumble recovery, something like that. Denzel or Newsome jumps
I'd
a
love
route.
to get Denzel. Yeah,
but better quarterbacks don't make those throws, so that's going to be it's really going to have to be forced through the disruption of a pass rush to get that turnover. I think.
And also, this is a home game, so you're kind of expecting some magic here. They've been a great home team. The Cleveland Browns. Obviously, last season, a little different.
Yeah.
But keep going.
Let's get to the Packers defense. It's led by Micah Parsons. He may be the second or third best defensive player in the game. He's been looking outstanding, and he's making a difference to the team to possibly get to the next level, win a few playoff games. I mean, maybe even a Super Bowl. I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, this might have been a difference. So the trade seemed to working out in Green Bay's favor as of right now. I think it'll work out for Dallas in the long term.
I've said this, though. If you look at this trade, and somebody had mentioned to me, if they would have paid Parsons, Dallas, they would have pretty much had maybe half their salary invested in Dak Prescott and pretty much 2 or 3 guys. And
you can't do that.
That's the tough thing. And to be fair, Clark, the player they got, is a solid pass rusher, and they got 2 first-round draft picks out of it.
Yeah.
So, and Parsons and Miles are probably 2 of the only players that would have drawn 2 first-round draft picks.
To get
we
that
talked
many
about that in the
first
offseason.
Yep. Well, I mean, he's going to want to tackle Joe Flacco today, who's like a statue, and he's not very mobile, so you can see that. Rashawn Gary, opposite of Parsons, is really good as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Parsons will have a big game with all the injured Browns linemen. The Packers' run defense isn't the Browns, but they are a top run defense, guys. Safety Xavier McKinney leads the way in the Packers secondary.
Really good player.
Gonna get to a little kicking, guys. Browns kicker Andre Schmidt is playing through a calf strain.
Oh, here we
go.
go.
I hope he can make his kicks.
Your favorite guy, Steve.
I'm getting nervous, all right, guys?
Well, I'll tell you what, Bubba Van Trone, by the way, in this special teams has been sorely lacking. We had a punt block last week.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good. Ventrone's not looking as good as I want him to be.
Yeah.
The Falcons just released Young Ho Koo on September 19th. So I think the Browns should consider him, but they didn't scoop him up before somebody else does.
Right.
I'm getting real nervous in this kicking game, but that's every week, so nothing new there, boys. I see a low-scoring game in this one.
Okay.
With 2 good defenses. Unfortunately, I got the Packers winning 24-13. Sorry, Browns fans. We're in for a long season.
Yeah. Well said. We'll turn to Mr. Dave Greenshield. And Dave, give us the preview of the Browns and the Packers matchup.
Yeah, you talk about 2 teams going in opposite directions here, gentlemen. The Browns are coming in having dropped 8 consecutive games in a row. I mean, it's been that bad. The Packers are looking like a legit Super Bowl contender. If you see it by preseason preview, they were my Super Bowl team from the NFC. Let's start with the Browns' issues, and they're mostly reserved to one side of the football. Veteran quarterback Joe Flacco has completed 62% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Not all those interceptions are created equal. Yep. Steve, I think we'll have to say that the interception last week was on him.
Yeah.
The first 2 that first week were probably on the receivers.
Correct. I agree with you there.
Yeah. He did regress against Baltimore, again, throwing the bad pick, very nearly having another one. To be fair, that touchdown really probably should have been a second pick, Steve. So there was that. He ended up with a TD pass. It definitely feels like his time at starter is in real question. Brent, you talked about it earlier this week. If this thing gets nasty in the first half,
then we go to the Dylan stuff.
I think it'd at least be third quarter, but I see where you're getting at. Dylan would be going in.
Yeah.
And to Steve's defense, he brought up play calling last podcast.
Yeah.
That play calling's got to be better for
it's a must.
Go ahead and get into that.
I'm going to get into that a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would add, some of the people around him have to play a lot better. This
That's
goes
correct.
back
Running
to the rest of the roster and the decline of the rest of the roster. He's not gotten any real help from the talent around him, as we talked about in the Thursday cast. It would be helpful if the wide receiver position stepped up. We've got wide receivers that can't separate, that have problems with drops. I've never bought Jerry Jeudy as a number one receiver, Steve. At best, in an
He's a number two.
I think he's a number two,
right?
Dave.
Well, this is what people have said about this wide receiver core. We're a wide receiver core of 2s and 3s. We don't have an alpha.
Yeah,
we
no.
don't have a number one.
Some are saying it's the worst in the whole NFL.
We think about
Thank
it.
goodness for those good tight ends, but for receivers.
When's the last time you had a
maybe
number one
maybe
guy?
the worst in the whole NFL.
In years past, when's the last time you had a number one?
Well,
I can't think of any except maybe that
Cooper
one.
was close.
Cooper was close, but
Cooper
even
was-
that was probably a number two.
Well-
because he remember
Well, the
his-
first year with Cleveland, Cooper was a 1.
Okay, but you get it.
Yes.
It's very, very rare that we have a
yeah.
number one.
Yeah.
Continue, Dave.
Well, and that goes back to the poor drafting of Andrew Barrett. That's how you get David Bells. That's how you get Cedric Tillmans.
Hugh
You know,
Jackson used to draft receivers. They
Yeah.
didn't even make the roster.
Right.
the year-
Oh, my
the year
God.
after.
Yeah. Well, the drops have hurt, and they're just not separating, and that's the big deal. The offensive line, man, it's not helped the cause. They had a hard time handling the Ravens blitz packages. I think they're going to see some of that this week. Here's the thing. If they can't handle what the Ravens were throwing at them with blitz packages, wait till they get a load of the Packers.
Good luck.
Yeah, it doesn't help that the O-line's having health issues. We'll see if Conklin and Batonio can stay healthy. They're questionable. The injury issues continue with Conklin. We gave him the contract. He cannot stay healthy. You've got injury issues with an immobile quarterback. It's not a good situation. As far as the game plan in this one, and we talked a little bit on the Thursday cast about this, put the emphasis on the run game. You have to take pressure off of Joe Flacco. To do the under center stuff that Brent talked about on the Thursday cast, to do the play action, you need some element of run game. We talked about it, Steve. Would you say at least 15 carries?
At
maybe?
least
Like
15.
Judkins.
I would not go
20
under
carries.
15.
And he was on a pitch count in the first game, but he
was.
didn't do too bad though in the first
He
game.
should be ready
6
to
yards
go.
a carry.
Yeah.
10 carries,
Yeah.
61
Yeah,
yards.
not too bad.
Yeah,
He should be ready to rock and roll today, guys.
Yeah, he needs to start to be the workhorse in this backfield.
Bell cow,
He
yep.
needs to be the guy. Mix in a little bit of Dylan Sampson.
Yep.
Throw that screen game to him. That would be helpful.
Jerome Ford's still available, but
Well, please. we got a broke down Ford. We got found on road dead here, Steve. Channeling a little Brent Keaton there.
Oh boy.
It would be helpful if the Browns would get back to that 2 tight end set. Some Njoku, some Fannin would be helpful. They ran 2 tight ends at 50% of the time in week 1. I think they need to get back to that. That's going to be helpful. Fannin has combined for 12 catches in the first 2 games. He's looked really good. I think the best path for the Browns offensively in this one is to try to establish the run game, try and go with some play action. Maybe you catch those corners napping. You could maybe take a shot down the field. The ideal situation is to run the ball, cross the 50, and then take your play action shot. That's what you try and do. So it'll be interesting to see if that's a way they can create chunk plays. I also think put an emphasis on Njoku and Fannin would be helpful. The biggest concern I have in this one is pass pro. Just can we hold up in pass pro is my question. This defense that they'll be facing last year was already a top 5 defense, and all they did is add one of the 2 best defensive players in football. I actually think this is a battle between the 2 best defensive players in football, guys. I agree with Steve.
Absolutely.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys agree. Their defense is only allowing 15.5 points per game. They shut down the highest scoring offense last year in Detroit in week 1. All Detroit had was a couple field goals, and then they get a garbage touchdown at the end. They really shut the Lions down in that first game. Now, I get it. The Lions were breaking in a couple new linemen, and they had a new OC, but still, they completely shut it down. And then what do they do in week 2? They shut down Brent's guy, the rookie of the year, Jaden Daniels. I mean, they really did a good job of getting after him. They have that nice combination of pass rush and solid coverage. Xavier McKinney is developing into one of the better safeties in the NFL, Steve. I actually think he's getting into that Brian Branch, maybe
he's awesome.
Kyle Hamilton type tier. They run a fair amount of man, so the Browns receivers are going to have to win some one-on-ones. They weren't able to do that against the Ravens. Are they able to do that against the Packers corners? I have my doubts. Again, the Packers have registered 52 pressures in 2 games. Their pass rush duo of Parsons and Gary are nightmare matchups, especially against an immobile quarterback. If we're starting back up offensive linemen, Steve, that's really where the
Yeah,
concern
they could be in
is.
a lot of trouble.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. On the other side of the ball, I do think the Browns defense has some talent to match up with this team. This is the lone bright spot on the team. The defensive line is playing really well. Miles is coming off of a 2-sack game. He played great last week. We really, in this one again, we're seeing the two best defensive players in the game. It's going to be interesting to see who has the statistical edge in this one, guys. Is it Parsons? Now, to be fair, I'd rather be Parsons facing, the Browns' offensive line than Miles facing Green Bay's offensive line. The emergence of Mason Graham at defensive tackle has been huge. He's going to have to be stout in the middle in this one, especially defending Josh Jacobs in the Packers' run game. LaFleur wants to put an emphasis and be balanced. The linebacker position, I'm with you, Steve. It's playing out really well. Devin Bush has been really solid. He's actually has a team high 15 total tackles, 8 of them solo the first 2 weeks. The defense is really good against the run, Steve. 45 yards rushing. I mean, that shutdown of Derrick Henry was pretty...
I think they can stop Josh Jacobs.
Right, if they can shut down Henry, why can't they shut down Josh Jacobs? Exactly. That would be big in this one. The corners need to stay healthy. That was the one concern I have. But that is the only real concern I have about this defense. Because you could see when Ward left the game, and this goes back to the Emerson injuries we talked about in the Thursday cast, the third and fourth corners, Harden and Mitchell, become the marks.
Yeah, Harden is the nickelback. Harden is now the starting nickelback.
And they were, both of them were victimized for touchdown passes by Lamar in the second half last week. That's what I'm saying. They become the marks. They become... There's a term out there, the mark, the fish, however way you wish to put it in the secondary when they're in there. They both gave up big play TD passes, so it'll be interesting to see if they're targeted this week. Let's start with the Packers offense. It's a resurgence of Jordan Love. I think we're seeing the 2023 Jordan Love that went in and clubbed the Cowboys in that playoff game.
Yeah.
They actually had the Niners beat, I thought, in the divisional round that year.
Yeah. They
really could have won that game in San Francisco and been in the championship game. Remember, he threw 31 touchdown passes that year, guys. Yeah. He was on his way. He started off the year great, 35 of 53, 480 total yards passing. He's done a really good job of distributing the football and avoiding the mistakes, which I think has been really good. We need him to make a couple of those mistakes. I'm with Steve today. We need a strip sack. We need to force an interception. The really good thing about this offense is, as Steve was talking about, they're very balanced. You've got Josh Jacobs, who's done a very solid job. He was over 1,300 yards. The thing, ever since LaFleur got there, he tried to give balance to the Green Bay offense. Whether it was with Aaron Jones early with Aaron Rodgers, now it's with Josh Jacobs with Jordan Love. He's got a solid group of receivers. Romeo Doubs is pretty solid. Matthew Golden was a guy I really liked coming out of the draft. One of my contenders for Rookie of the Year. Jaden Reed, is not going to play today. Golden's the interesting guy. He's a guy that I think can take short pass, turn it into long, get behind the defense, can be a playmaker. They haven't connected yet, but the matchup between him and Newsome and Ward is going to be interesting today. Something to watch for in this game. Tucker Kraft's been really good at tight end. He's leading the team with 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, it's a solid offense with really good balance. The matchup between LaFleur and Schwartz is going to be an interesting kind of chess match in this one, Steve. Overall, just my bottom line, the Browns' defense needs to come up big. They need to stop the run. They need to generate a pass rush, and they probably need to get a turnover. The heavy lifting is going to have to be done by the best unit on this football team. As far as offensively, they need to find a run game with Judkins. Flacco needs to avoid the mistakes, hit a few play-action passes, incorporate the tight ends. It's just too much to ask. I have my doubts about the pass game and performing in this one. The pass rush of Green Bay, I think, is just going to be too much. The offensive balance of Green Bay, at the end of the day, will be too much. The defense is going to get tired. I like the Packers 27-14.
Yeah, well said, Dave. All right, guys, we're going to get to our next topic, and that'll be the Game of the Week selection, and we will start with Mr. Steve Retzer. Steve, give us your Game of the Week pick and previous selection.
All right, guys, my Game of the Week is the Denver Broncos at the LA Chargers. The Chargers go into this game 2-0 with victories over the Chiefs and the Raiders. The Broncos are 1-1 coming off of a tough loss to the Colts. The Chargers are a hot team, and Justin Herbert has looked elite so far. Mr.
Elite,
Keaton.
Brett Keaton. Have I heard that right? Elite?
I'm going to tell you this right now.
Yeah.
He has shocked me how well he's
Shock
played.
you.
You know what? He's starting to remind me of like when he first came into the league.
Yeah.
He had remember some of those good seasons.
Yeah.
Where he looks unbeatable.
Well,
it looks.
Can I say there's just a few parts to this?
Yeah.
Number one, I was not crazy about him coming out of Oregon. I watched like his 3 or 4 biggest games at Oregon in 2019. He did not play great in those games. And then, when he got to the Chargers early on, he did really impress
That's what
me.
I remember that.
But
yeah.
you know what? I'm going to echo a Brent Keaton point.
Yeah.
Back to being the AFC's version of Dak Prescott. You really won't know until the playoffs. Let's just be fair.
Yeah.
If they get
he's a
into
regular season
he's just a
quarterback.
regular season guy, and maybe that's kind of what Brent is saying. It's let's wait until the moment of truth.
Wait a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal, guys.
Continue, Steve.
Yeah.
Brandon Staley, he was a defensive-minded coach, and he didn't do him any favors.
That's right.
Jim
Yes.
Harbaugh is doing just what Jim Harbaugh does. Turn teams around fast and win.
Yes. Well, they obviously upgraded the coach. I don't like Harbaugh, but he's a clear upgrade over Staley. I will say that.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. Keep going.
Now the Broncos, they're led by Coach Sean Payton, who I mentioned to you guys is a top 5 coach. He turned the Broncos around quickly to an overachieving offense and stellar defense. So here's the deal.
Yes.
Payton isn't the problem. He does his job, but the players need to do their jobs. Bo Nix had 29 touchdown passes and 12 interceptions last season. That's solid. So far this year, guys, he's thrown 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in 2 games this season.
It's been
not really good.
It's been a little inconsistent. I would agree with you. They really caught a bad break in Indy last week. Danny Dimes in that offense, which I'm going to get into a little bit later, is more legit than people give them credit for. They moved the ball against a really good defense in Denver last week. By the way, this will be a really good defensive matchup in this one. I'm really interested to see these 2 defenses, Steve.
Oh, yeah. And I think he's going through that all-famous sophomore slump, Bo Nix.
Even
with a
early,
great coach
Steve.
and a great defense.
Okay.
I think so.
Well, this will be a moment
Here's
of
the
truth.
deal. There's more film on him, so defenses can see him, and they're learning to adjust with them.
Right.
In my opinion, he overachieved, and he takes a step back to reality.
I'm going to push back just a slight. This will be a test against, and by the way, I think Minter is fast becoming a really good DC for the Chargers. The kind of their coverage schemes, and how they, generate a pass rush is interesting. What they do with their defense, they do a good job of keeping everything in front of him. He's going to need to be patient in this one. Also be interesting to see if they can give him a little bit of a running game. I was banking on their running game to be stronger than it has been.
Yeah.
But this is a moment of truth game for Knicks, especially against this defense.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to get into Justin Herbert. He's had 5 touchdown passes and no interceptions so far, with a passing rating of 127.8.
Yes, he's
Pretty good, Mr. Keaton.
He's coming at you.
Keep going. Keep going. All right.
Receivers
Right, it's
Quentin
enough.
Johnson and veteran Keenan Allen are leading the way on offense. Like you just said, Dave, the running game isn't looking good so far.
No, they have not
Both
gotten
backs are averaging 3.3 yards per carry, and that's rookie Omarion Hampton,
who
I see doing better as the season progresses, and veteran Najee Harris.
Well, here's where this team kicks it up a level. If they get a run game out of Hampton or Harris to go with Herbert's passing, look out.
Yeah, they're going to be dangerous.
That's what Harbaugh puts the emphasis on. He always wants to have a balanced offense and give his quarterback a run game. That's what he did up north. So it's going to be interesting to see if Hampton and Harris get it going. That kicks this offense up yet another level, because the receivers are better than I thought, Steve.
Yeah, they are. And I think the running game will get better for them guys. So let's get to Bo Nix and his run game. He's been able to handle the ball off to his running backs. Former Charger J.K. Dobbins is having a good year so far, and rookie R.J. Harvey seems to complement him quite well. Troy Franklin is leading the way in receiving so far, with veteran Cortland Sutton and Marvin Mims looking good as well.
Yeah, it's a solid receiving core.
Yes. The Chargers defense is looking good against the pass and the run so far.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. Khalil Mack dislocated his left elbow and is expected to miss 4 games.
Wow. You know what? I saw that on Monday night. I got a chance to stay up late for the Raiders and the Chargers. It looked really bad. He was like in a sling. And I thought it was... It's enough for for him to come back in 4 to 6 weeks. And this guy is awesome.
Oh, he's great.
He's a difference maker.
I wish the Browns would have drafted him.
Well, yeah.
They had their shot.
But, like, if they get him back, which would be impressive towards the end of the season, that's yet another, dangerous part of this football team as they come down the stretch.
Yep. Bud Dupree has taken his place in the lineup for Mac.
Former Steeler, yeah.
Yep. Safety Darwin James, he still leads the secondary, who's
player.
playing solid.
Yeah.
Let's get to the Broncos defense. They're known for their elite defense. That hasn't been the case so far this season. They've been inconsistent. Linebacker Nick Bonito he leads the way, and Pat Surtain was last year's Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So he's leading that secondary. Bottom line, guys, the Chargers need to continue what they've done, and Herbert throwing for tons of yards, and don't turn it over. The Broncos need to be consistent and try and get turnovers.
Right.
It should be a good game, being another divisional game. I like that.
Yep.
I think
I know where you're going here, Steve.
I think the Chargers could run away with the division and Denver go third behind the Chiefs. In this game, boys, I have the Chargers winning 27-20. Go Chargers, go Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
You really had to emphasize that, didn't you, Steve?
I had to emphasize that. Just a little bit.
To be fair, the guy deserves some flowers. You admit
He
it.
does.
He deserves some flowers.
I know. We watched that game together at the
opening
bar.
game
Yeah,
against Kansas City.
he looked amazing.
He looks
yeah.
confident. The receivers are starting.
Yeah.
They may have found something with that Colin Johnston at receiver, or Quentin Johnston. Yes, pardon me. McConkey, I liked, was solid last year.
Yeah.
So he's got some targets too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yep.
All right, guys, we're going to get to Mr. Dave Greenshield and his game of the week selection. Dave, give us your game of the week and the prediction, and go and shed some light on that, Dave. Go ahead.
Happy to, Brent. I want to get to a game that I'm really excited about, and two teams that I think are legit Super Bowl contenders. Both teams coming off resounding wins. I'm going to go with the Lions and the Ravens on Monday Night Football. I'm really looking forward to this one. They took tough, hard luck losses in Week 1. Obviously, that was a very disappointing loss for the Ravens. They had two 15-point leads against Josh Allen and the Bills. A couple of fluke plays in that game. There was a fourth down touchdown pass when they were up 15. The Henry fumble. Then they have another opportunity to put them away. I think you could have made a case they should have gone for it on a 4th and 2. And it brings up those feelings, in big games. Can, Lamar and, their coaching come through when they need to? And that's going to be interesting to see in this one. Let's start with the Lions. They faced the Packers buzzsaw in Week 1, and I think that was more about the Packers and less about the Lions. I don't know if you have a feeling on that one, Steve.
Yeah, I agree with you. Green Bay is much better than I thought. Detroit without their coordinators, that's definitely hurting. But man, Detroit's got to step it up. I'd love to see them beat Baltimore. I don't know, but
well, I'm going to get into that.
Yes, dive in.
Yeah, it was a really good bounce back for Goff. 334, 5 touchdowns. Apparently, the Bears' defense was all he needed to bounce back. That was the cure for what ailed him. It'll be interesting to see how this high-powered offense matches up with the Baltimore defense. The Ravens are going to have to deal with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, who teamed up for 91 yards receiving and 4 scores over the first couple weeks. The matchup with the Ravens corners are going to be really interesting in this one. Remember, the last time they faced a high-powered passing game, Josh Allen really shredded that secondary. Keon Coleman also had a big day with over 100 yards in that game. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they can generate a solid pass rush. They usually do that through blitzing. They did that last week against the Browns, maybe running some stunts. It will be interesting to see. Watch out for linebackers Roquan Smith and Adafe Owe coming in on the blitz. This offensive line, what was also lost about the Lions is they did lose 2 starters off last year's offensive line. And last year, I really thought them and the Eagles had the 2 best offensive lines in football when you look at it last year. There's a big reason that the Lions were the highest scoring offense in the NFL. Love the 2-headed monster that is David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs at running back. It's still possibly the best 1-2 punch in the NFL. I don't know if you have a feeling on that one, Steve.
I agree with you, Dave. I think those guys are pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Montgomery, I know Gibbs is getting great, but
Yeah.
you can't forget about Montgomery.
Yeah, well, they complement each other well because Gibbs is more the all-around guy. Montgomery's more of like a short yardage kind of guy. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, how they hold up against this Ravens run defense, which was the best run defense in the NFL last year. It's interesting to see if the 2025 version of the Lions O-line matches up against this Ravens front seven. The Ravens will be without the service of Metabike at defensive end, a solid player. The Lions defense will have a formidable challenge also with the Ravens offense, which has been clicking for the most part. They did struggle against the Browns in the first half last week. I thought we did a good job of limiting big plays. Lamar's legs weren't really a big factor as well. In the second half, Lamar and the Ravens passing game got cooking. Like I said, they took advantage of the Browns defense probably being tired, Steve.
Yeah, they were on the field a lot.
And then the backup corners, as we mentioned, they were able to hit some down the field shots. Lamar did throw for 3 touchdown passes in the second half. 6 total touchdown passes in 2 games. It's going to be interesting to see, if this Lions defense can contain Lamar. The key with Lamar is always keeping him in the pocket. Remember last week, he got outside the pocket in that third quarter and hit that down the field shot to make it 17-3. So can Aiden Hutchinson generate a pass rush? He did get his first sack last week. He's coming back off the injury. His matchup with Ronnie Stanley and Roger Rosengarten, the 2 tackles, should be really interesting. Stanley, one of the best tackles in football. It'll be interesting to see, again, if they can keep him in the pocket, generate some pass rush. The interior of the D-line's led by DJ Reader. It's going to be interesting to see if they can contain King Henry, though. He's coming off of a bad effort against the Browns.
Yeah, King Henry was sleeping last week.
Yes.
He'll be ready to play today.
He will be ready to go. The Ravens have found a true number 1 in Zay Flowers. He has, combined 218 yards receiving in 2 games. I think they found an alpha. The thing about it is, Steve, I'm wondering if they find a number 2. I think that's the one thing that probably kicks this.
Yeah, Rashad Bateman's not the guy.
Yeah, it's not been Bateman. I think Isaiah Likely will, if he can come back.
He's back from injury.
I believe so. That would help because Mark Andrews isn't getting any younger. I'm wondering if he's
starting to catch up with him.
He's starting to get faded out of the offense a little bit more. I think Likely is the most ideal candidate to maybe be that second target because I think that's the one thing that would really kick this offense up another level. The Lions are playing a fair amount of zone in the absence of Aaron Glenn, not running as much man coverage. Playing that against Lamar can be dangerous because of his ability to run the ball. So that'll be interesting. By the way, a battle of the 2 best safeties in pro football, I think, in Kyle Hamilton and Brian Branch. I mean, both rosters are very talented overall when I look at this one. My conclusion is it's a really good matchup. I have to say this. I'm really interested to see some of these individual matchups in this game. But in looking at it, I do think the Lions are going to move the ball in this one against this Ravens defense. I think Goff will make some plays. He's got too many playmakers around them. But I'm going with my Super Bowl pick. I'm sticking with it. I think too much Lamar. I think too much King Henry. I think King Henry bounces back with a solid performance. I think they're going to have a hard time containing Flowers. I'm going with the Ravens at home, 34-28.
All right. Well said, Dave. All right, guys, I'm going to get into my game of the week selection. And I'm going to go with the big matchup with the Rams against the Eagles. This one is at Philadelphia. I'm kind of looking at it this way. I kind of think, Stafford's going to come out hot again.
Yeah.
And, he's got 543 passing yards and 3 touchdowns so far this season.
Yeah.
The rushing game, spearheaded by Mr. Kyron Williams, has accumulated 132 yards, touchdown on the ground.
He's having a good year.
And Dave's boy, Puka.
Yes.
He's emerged clear in the receiving. He's got 221 yards on 18 receptions.
Big week last week. He really lit up the Titans secondary last week.
And, and Davis Allen, he's been a key red zone target. He's got 2 receiving touchdowns as well. So I think the Rams will capitalize on this offensive firepower, and an improved defense is now built to stop the Eagles' run game, particularly the tush push.
Yes.
Ultimately leading them to the win. I got the Rams coming out ahead on this one, 28-24. And it's the reason me and Dave and I talked about this.
Yes.
It's the revenge game.
Okay.
From that playoff.
I told you guys that there was some games in the past where there's been a playoff matchup, and then a certain team would win.
And Brent, the Eagles are beatable.
I do.
They are beatable.
Can I echo something you said, Steve? I'm going to take a point you've made, to be fair to you, about they lost some depth pieces on defense. Slay, the corner's a good player.
Bunch of starters on defense.
Like Uche, Williams, some of these depth pieces. I still think the defense is really good, but I wonder if that front seven is as good as it was a year ago. You lose Slay at corner. Yeah. Remember, Dak threw the ball pretty well in week 1 against that defense.
Yeah.
I mean, it could catch up to him.
If CeeDee Lamb makes that play at the end, I think they would have pulled the upset. I really do.
Yeah.
And then with they're facing a hot quarterback in Stafford coming into this game. The Puka-Adams combination could cause them some real problems. The path to victory is, though, can they contain Barkley in that running game? That's what tore them up in the playoffs. Yeah. I picked Verse as my defensive player of the year. I think they've got some real talent in that front seven. They're good at rushing the passer, but can they contain the run and put the game on Jalen Hurts? That's the real key.
Yeah. Like I said, something that I've keyed on in just NFL history is that in you look at a previous playoff matchup, let's say that the Chiefs would win or name the team, the Browns.
Well, the Bills did get revenge on the Chiefs in the regular season last year.
That's kind of what I'm saying. It looks like I'm going to go with the opposite. Yes. It was a close game. I think maybe the Rams are not happy about what happened in the playoffs, and they're going to be a little more hungry. And I just think they're going to come out and they're going to get this one done and put Philly. And Philly would go to 2-1, and the Rams would go 3-0.
I had the Rams in my NFC Championship game. I still like this team. It's got the components I like, which is difference makers in the front seven, good pair of wide receivers, and a quarterback still playing really well.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, guys, we're going to get to our final segment. That is the bold prediction part of the show, and we will have both Mr. Steve Retzer and Dave Greenshield give us their bold prediction for this week. And we will start with Mr. Dave Greenshield. Dave, give us your bold prediction.
Well, I'm going to start with a receiver that I've liked ever since he came out of USC, and that's Michael Pittman. I've been a fan of him coming out of USC. He's that kind of big-bodied wide receiver that I thought is maybe more of an ideal number 2 than a number 1, but he's proven to be the number 1 in Indy. I think he's going to have a day against the Titans secondary. I think he goes for over 100 yards against the Titans. This is a lot due to the success of our buddy Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes has found a home with probably the most talent he's ever been surrounded with. Very underrated offensive line in Indy. I love Jonathan Taylor. We've talked about him. He's been like a fantasy stud in the past, hasn't he, Steve?
Oh, absolutely. This Colts team is scary good.
Yeah.
You just need a quarterback, and he's doing it thus far.
You thought it was going to be your dude AR, by the way. Steve was long on the AR train. Yeah. You've been on the AR train for a little too long, Steve. But yeah, maybe it's Danny Dimes. I mean, he did lead the Giants to the playoffs 3 years ago. So, I mean, there is that little feather in his cap. But it was not good with the G-men. But again, solid offensive line. Love Taylor running the ball. Pittman has developed into a solid number 1. He had 80 yards receiving in week 1 against the Miami secondary. I did notice last week, I mentioned Puka and Adams cooked this secondary last week, combining for 14 receptions. He's gotten 13 targets in the first 2 games. I think he gets targeted in this one. I could see him having 100 yards, maybe even a touchdown in this one. I think Danny Dimes keeps it rolling against a suspect Titans defense and secondary, puts up some solid numbers. And I think Michael Pittman goes for over 100 yards on this one, Steve.
Wow. I agree with you, Dave. I think he will, too. It's a good, bold statement.
Okay.
We will get to Mr. Steve Retzer. Steve, wrap us up and give us your bold prediction for this week.
All right, boys. The Cincinnati Bengals are at the Minnesota Vikings. My bold prediction is that backup quarterback Carson Wentz, who hasn't played much the last 2 seasons, will throw 3 touchdown passes.
What?
3 against the Bengals and lead the Vikings to victory in the game of the battle of the backup quarterbacks.
Wow.
Now, Jake Browning starts for the Bengals. I think Minnesota's defense is going to be too tough.
Brian Flores is a good DC.
Yeah, Flores is probably the best defensive coordinator. Top 2, 3.
Yeah, he's up there.
No doubt there. They'll be too tough for the Bengals to handle. Ingenious head coach Kevin O'Connell will show the world that he can make magic happen with any quarterback especially a veteran.
Well, let me ask you, we talked about this on the Thursday cast when we were running down the injured quarterbacks, Steve. Were you a Wentz fan at one time?
I did like Wentz when he played for the Eagles.
Okay.
I know he didn't do a whole lot in Washington, and then
Yes.
and he didn't do much because you're backing up Patrick Mahomes of Kansas City. But the guy's been laid to bed for too long. He's with O'Connell.
Right.
O'Connell turned around Sam Darnold. He can turn around veteran quarterbacks, so I could see Wentz having a big game.
See, Brent, I think you were a fan at one time, weren't you?
Carson?
Of Wentz?
Oh, yeah.
No, that was Philadelphia, Carson.
Correct,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Now, I think that was also being in an ideal situation in Philadelphia. That's the one thing is, in the Philly Super Bowl runs, they've always surrounded their quarterbacks with a fair amount of talent. Because
Yeah,
that
they do.
17 roster had a lot of talent on it. But, yeah, I think he's good.
He's got Justin Jefferson to throw the ball
Well,
to.
yeah, Jefferson. We'll see if they can get a little bit more out of Thielen. They could use something out of the run game.
They need T.J. Hawkinson to do better. He hasn't played so hot so far.
The Hawk would be good if they could get a little bit of running game out of Jordan Mason. Aaron Jones is not going to be playing today.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a loss. The key in this matchup is if they get Darisaw back at tackle, because the Atlanta front seven was cooking their backup tackle
They're hot. They're hot.
last week. I'm going to be interested to see that matchup with Trey Hendrickson because that's the one guy, obviously, on the Cincinnati defense that could kind of make life miserable for Carson Wentz today. You think Browning plays well in this one, Steve?
I think he'll play good too, but I think the Vikings will be too much.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, guys, pretty good show here.
Yes.
Let's get some final thoughts. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, guys, it's been fun. I'm ready for the Browns to play. I hope they can at least compete. That's all I'm going to ask for. Just play it within the game.
So we're at the stage of can we just compete?
Yeah, I'm expecting to lose.
and
Can we
we're-
just compete?
and we're
Play a
looking-
competitive football game. Make the fans excited. Give the fans something to see.
Well, we're looking for moral victories nowadays.
Yes,
is that
we need to have a moral victory record here. You know.
Yeah, is that where we're at, Brett? We're looking for moral
we need
victories.
something.
Well, we're 0-3, but we're 2-3 in moral victory.
Oh, my God.
Gosh, it's rough. You know what? I'm trying to stay optimistic about the Browns, Brent. But overall, I think this is a good docket, a good week of NFL football. Some really interesting matchups. I think it should be a really interesting week.
I think this is going to be a little bit of a high-scoring game. I just do. I think Green Bay is going to win this one 34-21. It's kind of my prediction.
Really?
Yeah, I do. And I kind of thought that it would be close, but I think at the end Green Bay does pull away.
How did the Browns get 21, by the way?
I just do. I just feel like that at the end there's going to be some garbage time, and just like the Ravens game, they put up 17 points against the Ravens because it's just garbage time. So you
think
can
we're going to
accumulate.
see Dylan Gabriel?
Yeah, I kind of do.
So you see
Yeah.
like 34-14, and then they score a
Bingo.
garbage.
Same thing.
Okay.
Well, same thing with the Ravens game. The Ravens
Gabriel
game
got
was
a
out of
garbage
hand.
touchdown against
And
the Ravens,
17
yeah.
points. I got 21 here. So I mean, it's
Right.
like it's not. It's definitely within reach because you figure there's some garbage time points that can happen. So
Do we see Dylan, by the way?
I think we see Dylan. We do. We see
Okay.
Dylan. This is we're going to see it second half. That's kind of my prediction, and I want to see Dylan. I do.
You're a fan.
But I hope they do win. But and like I said, they are at home, so you would think I wouldn't be surprised if they keep it close. I would be very shocked if they win. I mean, that's for sure. So, all right, guys, with that being said, we are out of here. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Take care.